Hello viewer, today I'll be giving an extended spoiler-filled review of Fantastic Four First Steps. So before I come under fire, disappear now if you don't want spoilers. And maybe my spoiler-free review is the thing for you. Disclaimers first, please support the official material. Stuff I show here is for informative purposes, and spoilers. On with the show. So yeah, my prediction was way off. The only time I was correct is the time dilation occurred with Charlotte getting stuck in the black hole. For the film, it's a standalone MCU movie, you don't have to watch any other stuff. It quickly rockets through the Fantastic Four, or Fan Four's origins. That they were astronauts who went into space, got thunderstruck by a cosmic storm, and gained new powers. The trolley problem presented took the form of Galactus wanting Franklin in exchange for sparing Earth. The Fan Four refused and chalk up a plan to stop Galactus. And thanks to Sue making everyone's doubts vanish with her rousing speech, we saw the power of a united community. Everyone on Earth worked together building bridges, and knew what's what by saving enough power to teleport away from Galactus. Gotta say, the visual effects were awesome. The thing rocked, Galactus was a huge hit, and I was on board with Charla's design. Now, maybe Franklin's face does look obviously CGI in most scenes, but it does help visually imply that he has some otherworldly powers. And, no kidding, it's probably better for the baby's well-being, as opposed to making them do real facial expressions, like forcing them to cry. And seeing the Fan Four's powers in action was awesome. Reed's extensive abilities, although simple looking, looked realistic. Johnny's flames heat the spot, and the light bending effect of Sue's powers coloured me impressed. I liked how the film portrayed each Fan Four member. I bought Reed as Earth's smartest man. We saw him do the math on how to teleport Earth away from Galactus, then adjusting his plan on the fly to teleport Galactus away when things blew up. His flaws were well presented, being obsessed with knowing everything due to a miscalculation where they weathered the cosmic storm that originally gave them powers. And trying to solve everything upsets Sue, knowing Reed considered giving up Franklin to Galactus to save Earth. And near the film's end, Reed starts to address his flaws, accepting he has no clue about Franklin's powers, which is an apparent parallel with the unpredictability of raising a child. And Reed has that heartfelt moment, hoping his son will be better than he is. Sue was the diplomat who united nations together, aside from a Latveria, famous fictional country briefly referenced. She also managed to dig up some peace agreement with the previously villainous Mole Man, who later helped evacuate New Yorkers to Subterranea when Galactus was dropping by. We also see Sue is ruthless, with the power to back it up, but is luckily mostly kept invisible. She understandably wanted Charlotte dead for trying to take Franklin away, and was shown capable of putting Charlotte on hold while in labor. And Galactus was taken aback at how powerful she is. And while we don't see much of her scientific mind, her emotional intelligence really shines. Her speech that got Earth to work together really hit for me, especially the line about not willing to give up her baby for the world, but also not willing to give up the world for her baby. Ben has the rock-solid heart of gold, able to raise everyone's spirits up, and had some Yancey street smarts, able to read that Sue was pregnant, while supporting Reed with his speech that at first dumbed him down, but let Reed know the team was looking out for him. And Ben's a capable pilot, able to think on his feet when traveling around a black hole. And I was sold on his pretty much sibling rivalry with Johnny. They had cool banter, while knowing they got each other's back. Ben helped carry Johnny back to the ship after a breathtaking scuffle with Charlotte. Johnny made space for rescuing Ben when Galactus threw him. Speaking of Johnny, he was the typical hotshot and womanizer, developing a burning infatuation with Charlotte. Seeing him decipher the deep space transmissions speaks volumes to his intelligence, having partially understood Charlotte's alien language. This eventually helped convince Charlotte to turn on Galactus. And he was willing to sacrifice himself with no hesitation, heralding an offer to serve Galactus, and went port all in on sacrificing himself to help teleport Galactus away, where Charlotte instead sacrificed herself. And onto Charlotte, she was menacing, seeing her going through a phase of trying to grab Franklin and chasing the team through faster than light travel was terrifying and thrilling. She also had enough pull to survive a black hole, only being slowed down by time dilation. Seeing her burning bridges to stop Earth from teleporting away really showed her ruthlessness. But Charlotte has her own autonomy, having had doubts at kidnapping Franklin. And after talking with Johnny, her transmission changed, having regret for leading many planets to get consumed by Galactus. It's revealed her world and daughter were spared by becoming Galactus's herald. It was satisfying when she fired Johnny and slammed Galactus into the portal. Now, seeing Galactus in action was impactful. Although brief, I think that actually helped sell his power, making quick work of most of the fan form. He easily tore Reed apart. It was atmosphereful how easily he threw Ben, and Johnny was little more than an eyesore for him. But some gripes about the whole Galactus fight sequence. It didn't make sense why Johnny held on to Ben when dropping by to punch Galactus, where they both fell for it. Johnny could have let go, and they could have shown Galactus swat him away, or if they don't mind, have Galactus telekinetically do it. And given that was the clobbering time Ben said the thing, the fight choreography didn't really make it feel too impactful. They could have gone ahead to at least shake up Galactus a bit more. As for Sue, I understand she's canonically the most powerful Fan 4 member, and Mom's strength is real, so it makes sense she can trip up Galactus. What confused me was her blasting Galactus full force while he was holding Franklin. We know Sue is very protective of Franklin, so if she managed to make Galactus stumble, that could risk him dropping the baby, or if he's still holding the baby, pushing Galactus back would also push the baby further away from her. Doesn't make sense to me why she was so pushy. And while Franklin is very powerful, he hasn't shown able to use his power freely, being a baby, and it still feels out of character. Sue would push Galactus, where Franklin almost got sucked into the portal. Reed had to go out on a limb to save him. If I had a $1 in many $1 million chance to somehow direct an MCU film, I would probably make Sue with one hand, force field and pull Franklin, then with the other, like another storm breaker, gone for the head, and pull Galactus's head to keep him busy. Then Reed could wake up and grab Franklin. Then we do that whole push sequence, including that thing with Ben taking charge of demolition. Now, not knowing anything about special effects, for those keeping a CGI on budgetary constraints, if making Sue pull the stunt I described costs more and takes longer to make, I understand. That being said, seeing Sue have a heart-stopping moment from overexertion reinforces Galactus is still a real threat. Shala was the silver lining needed to stop Galactus. And Franklin reviving Sue resurrects any doubts he has no powers. As for the film's plot, I do feel we just had to accept Reed's plan to teleport Earth away would stop Galactus from finding them somehow. It's clear Galactus can detect Franklin's powers, where Reed's devices could not. It doesn't make sense Reed has some way of finding a star system Galactus can't find, while being able to stop Galactus from finding Franklin. I was expecting Reed to further explain that he was able to use a machine that amplifies Sue's powers to cloak Earth when Shala or Galactus searches for them. And it's shown Sue can at least hide a spaceship from Shala's senses. But we didn't get that explanation. If there was a scene covering this that vanished, that's cool. And another nitpick. Galactus' explanation for wanting Franklin is questionable. He told the fan for Franklin would take up his cursed throne to end his hunger. If that actually happened, worst case, Franklin may be consumed with devouring Earth for his hunger, along with other planets. Best case, Franklin spares Earth and goes off devouring other planets, which would weigh heavily on the fan-for's conscience. So Galactus' phrasing, although cool sounding and ominous, would read Richards as actually too high a price for giving up Franklin. My idea could be that Galactus will adopt Franklin, sustainably feed off his stated infinite power, and that would satisfy his hunger. This would probably make a more compelling moral dilemma, where giving up Franklin saves planets from being devoured, and he's guaranteed to be safe when Galactus is watching over him. Of course, the sacrifice is that Franklin becomes essentially a slave to Galactus, while disappearing from Sue and Reed's life. So instead, Galactus' phrasing for wanting Franklin could be to banish my cursed hunger. Of course, if there were extra scenes devoured from the theatrical release that further elaborated on this, fair enough. Speaking of cursed, Galactus is portrayed differently to his comic counterpart. He's clearly unhappy and hungers to no longer consume planets. It's still universally true Galactus existed in a time before and is as essential as the stars. And based on the vibe of his aura, it appears he was power-fooled into his current situation, and his constant hunger is probably the price of his great power. Comic Galactus, however, embraces his mission to constantly satisfy his hunger, to the point he will accept being slayed to rest if anyone manages to stop him from devouring their planet. Personally, Galactus' portrayal in this film didn't bother me. If you didn't vibe with this multiversion of Galactus, I get it. All gripes aside, the mid-end credit scene, where it's almost definitely Doom, has me excited for the Sue Storm to come in Avengers Doomsday. And while the final end credit scene was cartoony, it still has its charm. Overall, Fantastic Four First Steps was marvelous. Could have extended more on some plot points and touch up on some fight scenes, but my gripes were pretty much invisible to me compared to my enjoyment of the film. The story was serviceable, visuals were a thing to behold, I felt the burning passion from the emotional scenes, and all the characters portrayed were fantastic. Of course, that's just my story. I'll let you look into it. Okay, that's all for today. Hope it's Jack Kirby fun for true and untrue believers. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe if you'd like, and hope you see what's in store the next time.